On Loose Lines, episode 3, going for the Three Peat.
Take 94.
Daniel, Hibberd, and Toby McKinnon. You never say what goes on behind the scenes, boys. We've got to keep this all in-house, okay?
Okay. we couldn't tell everyone what's going on behind the scenes anyway, Paul. There wouldn't be enough hours in the day to go through the 94 episodes we've already recorded.
There is zero audio proof that anything happened. There's a lot of video proof, but no audio proof at all. Boys, thank you very much for joining me. This is a show where we take ourselves extremely seriously in promoting harness racing and doing our bit. There's no greyhound talk at all, Tobes. There is no crossover in any way. Daniel, how's your week been, mate?
Yeah, I went to the dogs.
Yeah, we did. Fair income. Well, you're recording a greyhound show with Troy Harley.
Box rise every Wednesday afternoon. There's a show. Yep, good to go.
Daniel Hibbert's calling the greyhounds, and here I am. I'm just a harness guest on the harness show. I'm the only one bringing all the harness knowledge.
Yeah, we'll listen to Daniel's call of his first race. We'll get the feel of how it all unfolded. Daniel, how was it? Were the nerves up, mate?
For the second, the
no, not too bad. It was a great opportunity for me, I guess. It's something that's come along very quickly and had the opportunity to...
I'll just quieten you for 1 sec, mate, so you can hear the last 100 metres of your call, which you've done so beautifully.
Back on the inside was Manila Fred, but got checked at that point, and then came Three Kisses. Well back, Hop, Skit, Skeet, then Itchy Kayla, and last of all was Our Flying Gaga. Adesanya swept up on the outside, dashed to the lead and race clear. Adesanya by 4.
So I might have been a little bit out on the 100 metres too, Tobes. Not sure about that one, mate. But, that was all good. Sorry, you were saying about it was a new experience?
Yeah, so I hadn't done any greyhound calling whatsoever, so it was sort of very fresh. Did a bit of practice at home after I went down to the dogs on Monday night. Matt Jones was he's the caller who regularly does Shepparton and Bendigo, and obviously he's a harness boy from way back, so it was good to get some advice and some tips off him, and then got the opportunity to call a few races on Saturday morning, and looking forward to the opportunity to call a full meeting there on New Year's Eve, which is really something looking forward to, and also calling the races again at Cobram on Thursday. So busy few weeks coming up for him, which is great.
Would have been nice. Would have been nice, Daniel, working with a professional like Matt Jones for once.
He's a very good operator. He certainly knows what he's doing, and certainly the production crew on Loose Lines is held in high regard as well.
Oh, that was lucky. I wasn't sure where he was going with that. I thought he's going to give me. Tobes, did you notice he slipped a little one in on us there? This is the third time we've recorded this. There was no mention at all of calling New Year's Eve. Did you find that one out today? Did you?
No, you said it both times.
Did he?
Oh, yeah, I've had it. It's been brewing. It's on the roster, and looking forward to that opportunity. It's a twilight meeting, which is great. So it'll be finished by about 7 o'clock. So nice way to finish the year.
Absolutely, and as just in case people didn't actually see it, don't forget Box Rise on the Bendigo Greyhound Racing Association Facebook page, and I think GOV are actually sharing it. That's the quality of the show, Tobes. Toby, how's your week been, mate?
Yeah, not bad, Paul. Just was at Bendigo on Friday night as a patron. I was at Melton Saturday night judging, and Cranbourne Sunday judging, and had a relaxing day this afternoon moving soil around. So, yeah, not too bad.
Most rewarding job's moving the dirt, isn't it?
No, I enjoy the judging role. It's, as long as I get them right, I'm good.
That's been known to happen beforehand. We've got a few topics coming up. One thing we have Woodlands winners week in, week out, and that's the way Tobes, he gets a shirt up. He knows how to get that shirt up into shot. Woodlands winners. They had pretty huge weekend. Friday night they had 7 winners. They had 3 trifectas, 3 quinellas, and then also a double at Albion Park. I caught up with Mark Hughes Sunday morning for this to be recorded Sunday afternoon, but I'm sure Mark still agrees with all his sentiments. As we'll whack him up, I'll put Mark on now, and we'll be back straight after with some notables for the week. Right, on Loose Lines, one of Campbell's Comments great sponsors is Woodlands Stud. You can't miss the hat, the shirt. I've got everything going on. Mark Hughes joins me. Mark, firstly, thanks for joining us on Loose Lines.
Yeah, outstanding, Paul. Great to be part of this new show you've got on the go.
It's only in its infancy. We're trying different things and all the rest. Got a couple of giveaways going to happen tonight as well that you'll lose one of your stubby holders, but considering I don't drink, it's not the end of the world, that's for sure. Love promoting products and things that happen in harness racing. You saw a great stat the other night at Alexandra Park. All 7 pacing races side by Woodland Stallions, and I think 4 of those were by American Ideal, mate.
Yeah, look, the boys had a night out at Alexandra Park on Friday, and American Ideal led the way with 4 winners. His great mate Better's Delight had a double, and Sweet Lou chimed in with a winner as well. But I think the more salient point about whilst we side the card pacing-wise, a lot of those races ran into quinellas and trifectas for our side. So all round, just a terrific night and a great spectacle for all the hard work our team does, and also to all the trainers and owners and drivers that just clearly show faith in our stallions.
Absolutely. Three trifectas, 3 quinellas out of those seven races. So that's an amazing effort in itself as well. He's standing here in Australia, but he's been terrifically well patronised. I know his book's been closed for probably a month now. Yeah,
look, it has. And look, he's knocking them over both here and in New Zealand. The Kiwis have jumped on board this year. There's probably more seamen going back across the ditch tomorrow for him than there is in Australia, would you believe? So, yeah, look, his last 12 months significantly in New Zealand have been quite spectacular. Whilst he hasn't had a New Zealand or an Auckland Cup winner, just consistent metro winners every week over there. 3 and 4-year-olds, a couple of very good sized stake horses, and obviously Copy That being his standout over there as well. And look, to follow all that up as well, double it on the Group 2 at Albion Park last night, and Pelosi won the division of the $30,000 race for the 3-year-old fillies. And a double at Timaroo for him as well yesterday, American Ideal. So he just keeps on rolling, mate. He's just been a great sire for a long time.
Keeps leaving them, as you said. Cruz and Pelosi both winning at Albion Park. There'll be a race today somewhere. He'll win another race there as well. Everything else is going good for Woodlands. I think I saw down by the Seaside book has already been filled in America for next season.
Yeah. Look, his book ahead of his return to the States at the end of January is already full. Massive ticks for him in terms of his yearling sale progeny this season in North America, Ohio, Lexington, and Harrisburg. Significantly, Harrisburg, from memory, I think on even day 5, like he was a standout. He had 4 or 5 lots north of 200,000. And a yearling sale on day 5 or 6, that's quite phenomenal. So look, we understand the Yanks are high on and the Canadians love some beach somewhere, but as I've pointed out to many people on these forums I've done with you, we've been high on the horse for a while. There's probably a little bit of an opportunity left to breed him in Australia. There's 7 weeks of the season left, but he's closing in on having a book full here as well. So we're delighted with him.
Got a great nickname. What's his nickname?
Yeah, we call him Rocky. Probably the reason if you to see him in the flesh. And look, his photos do him justice, but to see him in the flesh, he's named after Rocky. He's built like Rocky. He's a good-looking rooster too, and highly fertile. So ticks a lot of boxes, mate. And look, at the end of the day, he's a great racehorse too.
Woodlands are continuing their footmark here in Victoria as well. You've got Lather Up as well, standing at Northern Rivers Equine with Kath McIntosh alongside American Ideal. He's been well and truly patronised this season, which is terrific, especially with all the incentives for, I suppose, the local stallions. It's been great for Lather Up.
Yeah, look, there's certainly an additional incentive there to breed to him, and for those that have already taken up breeding to him, and for American Ideal as well, obviously, because They remain Vic bred, those stallions too, and even this, for the horses brush shipping stuff back over the ditch. Those horses that get in foal to American Ideal and lather up in New Zealand are Vic bred eligible. So it's a double-edged sword, which is a terrific result.
Mark Hughes, thank you very much for joining me on Loose Lines, mate. I think it won't be the last one. I think Toby McKinnon will be tapping you on the shoulder for a shirt, no doubt. I've got no doubt he carries on a little bit, but thank you very much for joining me and look forward to chatting to you in the near future.
One day. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for the opportunity.
Right, we're back. Silence is golden. I tell you, that was quite funny to watch after yesterday's audio issues. Too scared to push too many envelopes open and do things like that. And 5 minutes is a long time for you to be quiet, isn't it, Tobes?
That was a PB, Paul. I haven't been quiet for 5 minutes. Not even in the sleep. I'm quiet for that long.
Great to hear from Woodlands having a great run, and got a couple of things lined up for Mark coming up now and around Christmas time, and hopefully doing a bit of yearling sort of videos and stuff going forward for New Zealand sale, which is coming up, and the catalogues are out now. I should have probably had a gloss of that, but the New Zealand catalogues are out. And they're hoping to get some Australian buyers over there, which will be very exciting times. Woodlands are behind a lot of those New Zealand sales. Notables, I suppose, Tobes, and Daniel, you happy to go that way? Yes, of course you are, because I'm running the show, so you just do as you're told, which is very surprising for Tobes to do as he's told. That's a wrong button, Tobes. I hit the wrong button, mate, just to make you feel better. Notables this week, we had quite a few. We'll start off at the top, Tobes, and with Mickey Bellman training driving a treble at Terang. You actually caught up with him yesterday, live from Cranbourne, didn't you?
Yeah, caught up with Mickey at Cranbourne, and I only spoke to him for a minute or so quickly about his treble at Terang last week. Drove a couple of winners for Beck East, who's got a wonderful training partnership with Kevin Bruff. Kevin Bruff trained 1,100 plus winners in his career. They're now in Beck's name, and she's had 42 winners this year, Paul. Did very well. It's probably been her best season in many years, to be honest. So got a number of horses over from Mount Gambier during the lockdown period and had a bit of success with them from the Finniss camp. And they're a very underrated stable, the Beck East Kevin Bruff team, and generally Mick Bellman drives them, and two of them he won on the other night.
I'll throw to the Mickey interview and we'll come back and just quickly touch on Beck, but they're definitely two of our notables, but we'll throw up for Mick's interview right now.
Right, Paul, I'm here at Cranbourne on Sunday with Mick Bellman. We're just going to ask back, Mick, to your treble at Terang and the notable efforts of the week. So, first up, we won't mention the name of the horse, remain anonymous.
No, we'll keep it hush hush.
Had a good little win come from back in the field?
Yeah, she done a good job. That was the first or second run back from a throat operation, so Beck's done a really good job to get her back on track.
She had 42 wins this year, Beck. She's probably her best year in a long time, I'd say.
Yeah, she's doing a great job with her team, and they do a lot of miles, so they deserve all the credit they get.
Got another one for her later in the night, Strong and Bold.
Yeah, named after me. It went pretty good too, first run for the camp, so onwards and upwards.
And the long road to nowhere for Paul Roush.
Yeah, Paul, that was his first runner for a fair while, I think 2 years, so he's done a great job with a 6-year-old first starter, so good effort.
And you've driven a treble a few times?
Have driven a treble a fair few times, yeah, so it takes a bit to crack the 4.
And you've had 4 before?
Yeah, twice. Once at Charlton Cup Day and then once at Mildura, so they're not easy to come by.
And any pearls of wisdom for the listeners before we cut her off?
No, just keep putting them Bellman on.
Okay, good on you, Mick. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Right, good to hear from the mad Mick Bellman. I'm sure it was a relatively straightforward conversation you had with him, Tobes.
Not before and after, it wasn't. It was all fun and games before and after. As people who know Mick Bellman, he's a little bit eccentric, and I'm probably not too far off that myself. So there was a fair bit of hilarity before and after the shooting. He's had a great year, Paul. He's up to 126 odd winners for the year. And I know it's a longer year, but he suffered during lockdown because he couldn't drive every day during lockdown, as you know. So to get to 126, he's not far off his PB of 140. So great man, Mickey, and he would have been hard at it today at stall too.
Oh, absolutely, and it would have been trying conditions at stall today. I'd imagine it's still raining here. He is a journeyman. He'll go everywhere, and he will drive one horse or a whole book of horses. It does never worries him. And Rebecca East, as you said, Dan, she's had a bit of an interrupted season as well this season with a little bit of health issues and that from time to time. So she's done a great job as well, plus a couple of place getters in South Australia over the weekend. Daniel, Kate Hargraves and Alex Ashwood at Mildura on the Wednesday night, cracking the ton as a training establishment.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant achievement, particularly for a couple of young people in the sport. It's it's not easy to get a foothold in the industry. It's a tough way to make a living at times, but they've really had a crack at making it work, and clearly they've been able to do that. They don't just rely on one particular area to race their horses. They race absolutely everywhere. They're obviously up at Mildura a lot and making the most of the opportunities with the horses that they've got. They've obviously got some good stock, and then they've got that bread and butter sort of horses, and they've obviously picked up a lot of used horses, I guess you could say, from other trainers, and been able to get a couple of wins that they might not have been able to pick up with their former trainers. So they're doing a fantastic job, and all credit to them. It's been a tough year with COVID. The lockdown period probably would have had them second guessing the decision to go, as hard as they have. But since we've been, on the downward, down the hill a bit, they've certainly been able to get plenty of winners, and I hope it continues for the rest of this season and going into the next one as well.
Oh, I think it definitely will. They had a winner at Melton as well on Saturday night. I think they're doing a terrific job in how they do it, and they're always accessible. I asked for an interview during the week, and there's not a hesitation in the world if they can do it. I mean, got to realise, like, Alex drives everywhere, and Kate's also a school teacher by trade, so they do a good job juggling everything, I must say. So they're very, very good. The love bug for Toby McKinnon. Now, doesn't that just roll off the tongue? It just seems to work hand in hand. You have a little bit of a soft spot for James Herbertson. Notched up a treble at Bendigo on Friday night while you were there, mate.
A bit of a chestnut theme to this, isn't there? First it was Mickey Bellman, and now it's James Herbertson, who's a beautiful pale-faced Adios sort of style, and he a chestnut with a big white blaze. He won't mind me saying that, the love bug. No, he had a great night at Bendigo, Paul, all trotting meeting at Bendigo, as you'd be well aware, and he had 4 drives there on the night and got 3 of them home. Sunita's Strength for Mick Blackmore. Little Yankee for Lindsay Rogers, who was a $7.20 chance. Dynamic Legacy for Michael Watt. And then for the all-up punters that went all 4, he had the favourite Will Don Zave, and it went down. It ran 3rd, but still a great effort from 4 drives to get 3 winners and a 3rd. And Paul, can I take you back a further week? He did run 2nd in the Australasian Trotters Championship on a horse called And You.
Good, thanks.
Who started 100. It was 150 to 1, that horse. 150 to 1, can you believe it?
It was good, thanks. Yeah, it was really good.
Yes, that's the mother of it. And the father?
Majestic Sun.
Possibly, but it should have been Pegasus Spur, Paul. Or
I think so, but I think it's Majestic Sun.
Bell's Destiny won at Bendigo. It's by Pegasus Spur. Backs up on Thursday night at Bendigo, drawn a barrier 8.
Look at you. Look at you go. Marky is going to be very, very happy with you and your knowledge. If you think you're going to jump into my seat for the New Zealand trip that hasn't been officially organised, no chance. Absolutely no chance. Daniel, Kate Gaff notched up 4 winners. I've written here 10 wins clear on Gareth's show today. They've said 11, so I'm not sure which way it is, but either way, she's well and truly clear of the Metro Drivers Premiership. As we speak, it's a huge effort, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a massive effort. It is 11. I had to just check the stats myself earlier. That's an amazing achievement for Kate. You would sort of, with the profile of some of the other drivers that you have driving in those metropolitan ranks, it's it would be pretty hard to break into it to sort of drive that many winners. When you go back over the years, when you've had Gavin and Chris, pretty much dominate the proceedings there. For Kate to get up and win the premiership, which in all likelihood she's probably going to be able to hang on and win, even with a few weeks to go. It's an amazing achievement. When you look at the numbers, she drives most of her horses for Andy, who's had 40 winners on a metro circuit. So it goes to show that she's had, another 20-odd winners with other trainers and other stables, which is quite great for her driving career, because she can certainly freelance a bit and go with other stables, and you don't certainly lose anything by putting her on your horse. So I'm pretty sure this will be one of those moments in her career when she sits down and at the end of it and thinks this is probably one of the highlights, because it's very hard to win premierships, particularly metropolitan premierships, and to do it you've got to have a really good horse, and clearly she's been on some good ones this year.
Would it be fair to say she picked up most of those drives, or started getting the drives for Emma and Clayton through the COVID lockdown? Because I don't think she was driving a lot for them prior to that, and then once drivers were limited to certain areas, and the same applies really for Jodie Quinlan as well, they weren't really getting a look in that camp as getting drives, and now they're two of the mainstays of the driving ranks through that COVID. So it's sort of been good and bad for a lot of people, hasn't it?
She's driven for Emma for some time. She's often driven Pam Hawkins horses for Emma Stewart.
Yep, true.
For some time, Paul.
Yeah, but probably got a bigger foothold through the COVID. But you were spot on. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I just checked Wikipedia from Port Pirie, because she's from Port Pirie, and there's a long list of the good things that have come out of Port Pirie, Paul. There's Mark Bickley, Kate Gaff, and The Road.
I got invited to a drivers invitational drivers night there one time, so I'm going to be nice. They treated us like kings.
You're kidding. You got a gig at an invitational drivers race.
Actually, I drove.
I
actually drove for Kate's grandfather. A terrific man. I can't think of his name, but yeah, lovely man. And the first thing he told me was I was Kate Gaff's grandfather. So yeah, and I didn't weigh in. So.
Oh, well, we know that, but I suppose they wanted some entertainment on the night, didn't they?
Well, they got Mickey Bellman over there, myself, Caleb Lewis. It was a quiet trip. So, yeah.
I can imagine. I just can't believe you got a gig. They must have said, they would have meant their own grant and just pulled your name out accidentally.
I'll be brutally honest. I did question Leah Harvey when she said it. I said, "Are you sure you want me?" And she said, "Yep." And I'm like, "Okay." So there was something on here in Victoria. So most of the main drivers wouldn't go over there, but no, they treat you terrific over there. I will say that if anyone gets a chance to go over there, and young drivers get a phone call for them, jump at it. It is a bloody long road to get there, but no, it's a terrific night. While we're on the South Australian theme, Tobes, Greg Norman, 2-state double Saturday night, Group 2 winner in South Australia in Belladonna Girl, taking out the, what do they call it over there, the Phillies Southern Cross Series over there, the equivalent of the Sire Stakes, and then Karen Manning and he combining with Zakari at Melton. Great old trainer, great man, a lot of fun, isn't he?
Zakara, yeah, he's a great fellow, Greg. He's had a lot of success. It's a bit of a combination with Adam Cormack. He trains exclusively for Adam Cormack. He set up camp at Charlton now, which would be a fair task working at Charlton and putting up with Mick Gadsden all day. So he'd have that to deal with. And Joey Thompson would be looking after him, though, to keep him there. And he did come to the Yarra Valley in the late 80s and trained exclusively for Noel Cow. And I've sort of followed him. I was only in short pants then. You sort of follow a person once you've met him throughout his career, and he's always been a great trainer with a high strike rate. Very successful in South Australia, a bit like Scotty Ewen, who's trained over 331 winners. He's trained Paul in his career, Scotty.
The bad jokes just keep coming, Daniel. They don't go.
Never ending.
I would have done an interview for those wondering. I would have actually done an interview with. You wouldn't believe what happened to me just then, but I'll fix it. It should be fine. With
Greg Norman, but he was on the golf course. Let me guess.
No. Samsung. Bloody Samsung phones. You can't do vision phone calls with the Samsung phone. I just might be out of power, boys. Don't stress. We've had all these other technical issues, but we're away. No, we're back in. We're back online now. It's all good. We're fine to go. A left of centre one, Tobes, for you, mate. Chris Alford driving a double at Cranbourne.
Yes, he drove the first two winners at Cranbourne, Paul. They were both number 5s, and they were both by 3 metres, which When we read out the margins, the race caller just rounded off initially. So if you go online, it'll say 2.8 and 3.1. But yeah, both number fives and both by 3 metres. So first 2 races at Cranbourne, including a mare and a claiming race, which is something we'll discuss another week.
Yeah, it is. That is an interesting way of being able to move some of your mares on, I think, too, if people wanted to. But you're right, you don't see it a lot. You did mention that one last night. So that's a run through our notables. I will say James Herbertson got another winner today as well at Stall. I just saw that, and I think Rebecca East had a couple. I think either run 3rd and 4th or 4th and 5th from what I was just quickly looking at the results while one of you two fine gentlemen were talking. Thoughts for the week or topics for the week, Tobes? We might start with you if you like. With your topic of the week, both of you boys were a little bit more heavy hitting than mine. Mine's a bit somber. So, your thoughts for the week, Tobes?
My discussion point, Paul, was all
That's
trotting meetings. We saw how successful it was at Bendigo on Friday night, and I just feel for the trainers that what I call predominant trotting trainers, like a Brent Lilly, and I know he does have some paces, and what's happening is Brent Lilly will take a couple of horses to Shepparton because there might be a 2-year-old trot at Shepparton. Then there'll be a 3-year-old trot at Ballarat. So he has to take a couple of horses to Ballarat to put one in the 3-year-old trot. Then then the next night he might take a couple to Bendigo, and then the next day he takes a few to Maryborough. And I just wonder how beneficial it would be to Brent Lilly to have one meeting a week in that central region where you have all the trotting races. So you have your 2-year-old trot, you have your 3-year-old trot. We can condense the spread of horses down as well. So you can have a 50 to 55 trot, a 55 to 60 trot, and really allow us to narrow the size of the scope of trotting races as well. And the big thing is he's not sending 8 horses to 4 different racetracks over 4 days, where a pacing trainer at the moment can nearly, like down here at Terang, and Matty Craven or Jason Lee, they can have 7 or 8 horses in at a race meeting at Terang, you know?
Yep, absolutely. I don't disagree with it. My only thoughts on it were, does it then take away from the Redwood Carnival, the Lang Dynasty night, your Breeders' Crown nights, and then your Southern Cross nights coming up? That's only because they're no longer a novelty. I don't disagree with you. There's no need to wave the eyebrows as much as what you are. You can settle them down a little bit. But that's the only thing. I do think it's good. The flip side of it is too that if some stables do have 1 or 2 paces, they're able to take them still. They may from time to time be able to fill their float up and go that way as well. But that's just my thought. Daniel, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's certainly a good concept. Whether you do it every week is probably a bit debatable, but certainly if you could factor it in sort of every month to run a trot meeting where you were not so much the open class and the top ranked horses, but if you were having your 2 and 3-year-old races and your maiden trots and then your lower assessed trot races where some of those trainers that have got all trotters, they might have 20 in the stable and they might have 8 or 10 that are in that class. It just saves them the money of having to fork out 4 trips to the races and where you can narrow it down to just one. It's from a money point of view, it saves the stable and owners money. And also from a safety point of view, where it makes the trainers not out in the road 4 nights in a row. They might only have to go maybe once or twice, so they're not tied behind the wheel or anything like that. And it's just there's certainly a lot of benefits to it. And if it's put in the right way, it can certainly work. But you certainly wouldn't want to be doing it all the time. But certainly to save people some money, it's not a bad idea.
No, definitely not. Your topic, Daniel?
Yeah, just obviously with COVID, with moving back now to getting patrons on track, and hopefully we get to some sort of normality in the next few weeks. I'm just fearful of what we've done in the recently, particularly the last couple of nights, Bendigo and Shepparton and so forth, where they've had the ability to have crowds, but we haven't had that that experience that people would normally have going to the races, where we haven't had a bookmaker on course or a TAB operating and things like that. So we just we want to make sure that we offer an on-course product which is as close to normal as possible. And I know that there's rules and regulations that we've got to follow, but we want to make sure that when we can attract people back to the races, and I think we're going to be able to do that given how much people have missed out on being able to go to the races in the last 6 to 8 months. We just want to make sure that that product's as good, as close to normal as possible. And certainly the sooner we can get to it, the better, because we've got some great racing coming up across the state, and particularly at Melton. And we want to make sure that when people go to the races, they get what they're normally expected from going to the races.
Absolutely. I think it's just a bit of a juggling act, and I know, Tobes, you got a little bit more to add to it, but you were at Bendigo the other night.
Yeah, terrific at Bendigo the other night, but I'll put an asterisk on that because it's fairly well set up, Bendigo, to segregate the participants from the owners that attended and the patrons. So it's pretty easy to divide, and I feel for a club like Cobram that Daniel's involved in, where that, you know, there's not an area, just you can't split the race course in half and say, well, that half's for the participants and that half's for the general public. They've got their tower right in the middle there where the general public will be. So you've got to segregate the race core and the judges and timekeepers away. So just for all the people out there, just because it is happening at some of the clubs, it may not happen at every single club until the state government allow it to the participants and the patrons to intermingle as such.
There was more of a laxing of the rules too yesterday, I believe, with the masks and the rest. So it may not be that far away. Like we say, Christmas, it won't be ready, but you don't know. So it's just ever changing.
Didn't catch up on that, Paul. We recorded this 9 times yesterday, so I missed all the news.
Well, I was ahead of the curve, Tobe. So my topic for the week, and you guys are going to be the only sort of record of it, was actually just to be aware for other participants and the fatigue factor. I love how busy the end of this season is, but I think we've got to be mindful of the fact of, and you said it there before, Daniel, participants on the road all the time. We've got Sice Vicbred heats racing at Bendigo this Thursday night. I said the last race is at 11 o'clock. We've got Ballarat on Friday. We'll have a big card at Melton on Saturday. The Trotters start the week after, so you're going to have participants going possibly to 2 and 3 meetings with quality horses too that they can't afford to not go with. And I think it's very, very important. The reason I say I'm ahead of the curve, boys, before you guys go there, Ben Dorers has put a thing out today on Twitter about that exact same fact, in saying that he worries about the participants and trying to give the grooms and those people a bit of a break over Christmas. He obviously is talking about the gallop people, but it's the same sort of problem. Michael Brow, and I know Michael quite well, so I'm okay to say this, but his question was, how is it different from those working super long hours in the retail in the lead up to Christmas and back to back, and then they're back there 5 a.m. on Boxing Day? I think the one thing Michael Brow forgets, we're working with a living animal that can really hurt people if you're not on top of your game. So it's all good and well to say, is it the difference between the retail? It's far different. We're on the road for long periods of time, and then we're dealing with an animal that can hurt us if we're not on top of our game. So I think it's an issue. I don't know whether we have to change it, but perhaps other participants be aware of their fellow participants around them, and if they think they're struggling, have a talk to them or alert someone if they really worried about it. But I do think it's just something, I think, leading up to Christmas, we all want to be able to enjoy Christmas, so let's do it the right way.
Nothing to add, Your Honour.
That's absolutely right. It's just a matter of making sure that I guess the big thing is that the participants get enough sleep. That's the big thing. I know they work really hard and they work long hours. But the big thing is that they've just got to get that rest. If they can get that rest, then they can go their hardest and work as hard as they can. But they've got to be able to have that rest and have a good night's sleep to make sure that they're fully recovered for the next day.
Absolutely, and they get to see another Christmas. BARASTOC. Now, BARASTOC are pretty happy with you, Daniel Hibberd. You've got your own hat coming, Tobes. You've got to lift your game, apparently. But BARASTOC are pretty cock-a-hoop at the minute. I don't know if anyone's been watching social media, but the tipster, he's on fire to the extent that Craig Rail is trying to rain on his thunder, I suppose, or rain on his parade. Is that the right word? Rain on his parade.
Rain on his thunder.
That'll come out again, won't it? Rain on his.
Take a note.
Rain on his parade. I hope the audio didn't work on this one either. It'd be so much better for me after that last comment, but that's okay. Daniel, who is your BARASTOC trial winner this week, or trial performer this week? I shouldn't say winner.
Yeah, well, it's stating the bleeding obvious, but it was a great trial performance by this horse, and obviously Craig's Black Book on the harness website as well. It's gone up before we got the chance to get this out. But the horse is called Yorkshire for Kima Prenning. It was a really nice trial against San Carlo on Tuesday last week. Obviously, San Carlo's at the top of the ranking point, and this guy's come across from New Zealand on a 59 rater. So he's obviously got some ability. They went 2 minutes, 4.5 in 58.5. So it was a good hit out for him, and he still had plenty left in the lock of it. I don't think Kima had really let him go, but he strided up really nicely up on the outside of San Carlo, and I think the old boy might have saw him coming and said, "You're not getting past me just yet." So it was a good trial, and he'll another one for the Stokey group. Obviously, they've been able to find some good horses from New Zealand, so this guy's obviously got a fair bit of ability, and he'll be pretty short wherever he steps out, I'd imagine, but he was certainly the pick of that trial. And there was a horse that ran third in it. It's another low rater which was in that trial. It was Hi, My Name is Jeff. It's a 57 rater for Amanda Turnbull, so it goes okay as well. But I just mentioned to people who might be looking up the form of these horses. There's two horses in the system that might get you confused, and I think it's caught out the racing office down there. There's a horse called My Name is Jeff, which has had 3 starts and won 2 races. And this bloke's called Hi, My Name is Jeff. So don't get caught out, because there are 2 horses with very similar names going around at the moment.
Well, first, I'll just apologise because I've been calling him Daniel for the last 3 weeks, Paul.
You had to sit on it for longer, didn't you? I could see you were bubbling away.
I didn't want him to say it. I didn't want him to blurt it out.
You did a good job, Daniel. You kept going. I thought, it's gone. He's lost it. But no, the king of the dad jokes. He just had to come out with it.
I did wonder, Paul, and I've looked this up since. I thought maybe it was bred by the great man Dennis Bice, Yorkshire, as of Yorkshire Park, but it wasn't. It must have been bred by Alex Ashwood and Kate Hargraves, because it was actually Harwood breeding, which is half Hargraves and half Ashwood. Harwood breeding. So
you didn't shovel a lot of dirt today, did you?
No, I did. Trust me. My back says I did, actually.
Rightio. We're nearly actually at the end, and we this might be the end, and then it'll be all good to go. Competition time. So I've started a competition. Toby doesn't think this will work. Daniel's a lot more
terrible.
This is not a Christmas. This is not a Christmas one. This one, it is actually a Easter one, is what Toby McKinnon sent me as a message just before. No, this is going to go out. I've got to go that way. Okay, that's a bit confusing. Woodland stubby holder and a cap in your choice of colours. Blue and red. I think Daniel's got his eyes on the blue and red one, so we'll have to give the pink one to Toby. I'm sure it'll actually go pretty good on there, but being a Melbourne supporter, that's why he'll want that. During the week, and we'll start with it. The current GM of Bendigo Harness Racing, Eric Hendricks, sent me 3. I looked it up. 3 annoying little photos of his house, and here's a video footage of his house. All lit up. You can pull up outside of it, turn the radio station onto a certain channel, and you can listen to his Christmas carols. That's what you can do when you go past and see his house. Extremely excessive. He's extremely proud. Apparently someone's already pinched a candy cane. No, he's not happy about that. One of the canes has already gone missing from the front. So that worried me a little bit. A couple of days later, Brendan Baker, a lot of people know him on social media and the likes, he posted this photo of his house, and it is definitely his house. There's no worries there at all, stating that he put all the Christmas lights up and the kids are really happy. I reckon Chelsea done it for Chelsea Boyd, Frank Evans' granddaughter. I'm pretty sure she would have done it. I reckon Brendan would have sat back and just officiated on the whole occasion. People get into the spirit. Captain Grumpy over there with the eyebrows. He's not so keen on this as a competition. What I want, some photos, the best house that we get, and we need proof that it's a harness racing house. We want a harness racing house, all decked out in the colours, Santa Claus. Put it in the comments below. Put the photo there as well, and we'll pick a winner. And it will not be next week. It'll be the week before Christmas, whichever way we do that. So 2 weeks' time, we'll post that as a competition. Now you get the choice of a hat and a stubby holder. So they'll go for 2 weeks, and I'm going to go back there with it. Yes, finger.
Just, I don't know if you saw on Twitter or Facebook today, Brett Chipway did put a message out, Paul, about Christmas. He said that if anyone's by themselves at Christmas this year, if they can let him know, he needs to borrow some chairs.
I had one of the funniest. I might have to try and find it. It's on Bendigo. It's on the Bendigo Twitter page. I'll have to go back and try and find it over a couple of years ago. And he's hilarious. I was interviewing him and he just killed me. I couldn't believe what he said, but I might have to try and find that, Tobes, and get us into the Christmas spirit as well. He's a very, very funny man.
Did you do one of your minute things that we've got coming up with Glenn Conroy? Did you do one of them with Brett Chipway?
No, he wasn't there. No, he wasn't actually
there.
Yeah,
D. Lee was scratched, wasn't it, on the night?
Yeah. Geez, that would have been random questions. Yeah, that's something coming out on Campbell's comments at the minute is just some Christmas cheer. There's one there of Glenn Conroy. There's a few more of Glenn's questions. There's 5 questions I asked, and Glenn's got a couple more to answer. Not all of them are as funny as that, but he is a great man. But I got things from the Batmobile, motorbikes. One bloke doesn't like Christmas. Who would you think wouldn't like Christmas? There was quite a few. Come on, you're big on these quizzes. You got one guess that drove at Bendigo on the Friday night. Trained it.
Doesn't like
didn't
Christmas.
train. Yep. Dead air's bad air, Topes.
Darby McGuigan.
Didn't interview him, should have, but I didn't get to Darbs. Daniel, you got one guess?
No, I've got no idea. That's yeah. All right. No, you've got me there.
Well, you're going to have to wait and see. Speaking of, Daniel, random random rubbish that you see.
Random.
Jake Aldo, Toby. Doesn't like it. He reckons because he's too busy and everyone else is going along. Random things that happen. Our man, Toby McKinnon, sends me this peculiarly weird video of him running up through the bush. When was this? A couple of weeks ago, was it, Toby? 10 days ago, I suppose.
No, last Monday night, I was driving from Yarra Valley to Terang on the Tuesday to judge, and it's not unusual, Paul. I've done it many a time where I'm just driving along and I see a phone tower at the top of a mountain, and when there's a phone tower at the top of the mountain, there has to be a track up to it. So I started running up the track and saw this single track, so I took this single track up the mountain. I've done it in Heathcote a few times. I've done it up all sorts of hills, driving home from all sorts of places in Victoria. So there's some people out there that don't believe that I like trail running. I do like trail running very much. I've run 30 marathons. And actually, Paul, I learned a lot from training for marathons. Now, some of these marathons were 100K races, and I was training myself pretty hard. And some mornings I woke up, I felt $1,000,000 and would go for a run and was terrible. You know, I struggled to run 5-minute kilometres. Other mornings I got up and I felt terrible. And after a K or two, I was fine and running 4:30 kilometres. And then I think about horse trainers and horses. Like a horse can get up and may appear to be $1,000,000 and have just not feel it or whatever it is. And I was training myself and I couldn't get it right. So I really gave me a great understanding of how hard it is to train a horse that unless you're Paul Campbell, they can't talk to you.
They don't talk to me as a dentist either. I find one of the fascinating things, I've only done a couple of half marathons, and we are going to go for a run across the road in the bush where I've got here one day, Tobes, that's for sure. But I find it a weird sensation that you can go for a couple of Ks and really be happy to stop and turn around and go back. And then you just sort of get into a zone and away you go. And I'm sure it must be the same with some horses, and that's what probably separates them as the better ones to the weaker ones, the ones that just block out all the other pain and the likes. But they are a brilliant animal, and I enjoy it. And we will definitely go for a run, Tobes, but not up something that steep, I reckon. My little chubby legs might struggle, I reckon.
Yeah, that was somewhere in the mountains north of Melbourne, you know, up near Diamond Creek there. So she was pretty steep, that climb. Good 3K climb it was.
All right, boys. The Three Peat is over. Let's hope. If I stop recording in a minute and it doesn't happen, well, that'll be fine. We will be back for episode 4, and it will go up at 4:30 on the Monday. This one will go up as soon as I've got it posted. But thank you, fellas. Daniel, good luck Thursday, mate, calling. And
thank you very much.
Have fun. Bit of Elvis. Always like a bit of Elvis. There's no hassles there. Tobes, good luck. When am I likely to see you? I don't know. Be somewhere and all the rest. And say hello to Claire for me.
Not sure, Paul, when I'll see you next, but I thought this take was probably in our top 10 of the 90 we did, so be good to get it up.
I actually thought the pre-midnight one was better. I'm sure I had tears rolling down my face. You've let me down today, but it's all good. Thanks, boys. I'll see you next week, and we'll put up the next episode 4 of On Loose Lines.